Just going to show you a demonstration now of how I actually shoot from a rest, and this is my MCM front rifle rest. It's a very good rifle rest, and it can be used for firing rifles with recoil or without recoil. A lot of people send messages to me on YouTube and some from the Hunted Life forum asking me how I keep my rifle so steady. But when I'm doing accuracy testing and I use this rifle rest with the nice soft rubber like it's got here, this is the technique I use. Right, first of all I'm going to show you how I use it with a pre-charged rifle, so a rifle that doesn't recoil. All I basically do is just rest the stock, part of the stock, on the actual top of the nice soft rubber and take a nice steady shot that way. It's a very good rifle rest, as I said, and you can get a very good accurate zero using this with a pre-charged, to the fact where you can maybe put 2 or 3 pellets on a drawing pin at 30 metres. However, this is a recoiling rifle, so it's a spring piston, and the way I like to do it is I like to hold the rifle and feel the recoil coming through my body. I don't like the recoil to go down any part of a foreign body, i.e. the rifle rest. Basically, the hold I use is what I call the L grip, and what I do is I rest the rifle on my thumb, and then I have my index finger running down the stock. To demonstrate that now in slow time, I've got my thumb now just above the cutout. See the cutout there? Just above the cutout, and I'm resting the rifle on my thumb. The side of my hand is against the stock anyway, but then what I do is I push my my index finger down the stock as well, which is basically keeping it nice and steady from moving left and right, and the recoil is now coming through my body and actually through my shoulder, and it's on my thumb, not on the rubber. Right, I'm going to tell you about follow through now. I've shown this before in a video, but a lot of people ask me anyway. Right, I like to use a full grip on the trigger. Now this part on your finger here where it bends first, what I'm bending now, that's the part I like to actually have on the trigger. I've seen people who actually hold the trigger and the rifle's not loaded, right, so we can pull the trigger, you hold it like that. I've tried it like that and I can't get a very good feel on that. I don't really know when the rifle's going to let off. Thumb wise, I like to have my thumb up if I'm doing accuracy testing, right, and I like to get a full grip like that, as I say, with the trigger. This is a 2-stage trigger from Air Arms. It's the CD1, the computer design one, and it's got a really nice let off, so I know the difference between the first and the second stage. So I usually take the first stage up while I'm breathing, and you should watch the actual crosshairs moving up and down the target. Then you know the rifle's pointing naturally at the target. Once you've actually got them pointed naturally at the target and the crosshairs are moving slowly up and down, then hold your breath. Once you've held your breath, then take up the second stage, and you do that just by squeezing, and that releases the piston forward. So, slow motion now. I'm breathing, I see the target through the scope, taking up the first stage, I'm watching the crosshairs go up and down. I then stop breathing, slowly squeeze the trigger, and it's slowly. Piston goes forward, and the pellet goes along the barrel to the target. At this point, my eye would still be in the scope, so I'd still be looking down the scope. And points to note at this stage, my finger is all the way back on the trigger still. I haven't released the trigger. Once I've heard the pellet hit the target, then I release the trigger forward slowly and then move my eye from the scope. This is called follow through. Some bad points what people pick up and shooting wise is they'll look through the scope, they'll see the target, and then they'll just pull the trigger like that. As soon as you do that and you're actually snatching at the trigger, you're wobbling. Your muscles are obviously tensing, and the barrel will move. It might only look a slight bit at the barrel end, but as that pellet goes over range, that angle, what it's actually inaccurate at the barrel, widens out at the target end. Some other points they'll do is they'll forget about the first and the second stage, so they'll just see the target and then go bang, use it as if it's a 1-stage trigger. Right, you're losing accuracy there straight away, because the bit between the first and the second, your barrel will move as well. And finally, just make sure that you do remember to keep your eye looking down the scope. I've seen people as well, they'll do everything correct, so they'll take up the first stage, they'll have the eye down the scope, they'll then pull the trigger and look up and try and see if they can watch the pellet hit the target before it actually does. What I mean by that is, let's say I've took up the first stage nicely, I'm looking and I'm shooting at a beer can in the garden. I want to see what happens to the beer can when it gets hit. I pull the trigger slowly and then look up and try and see the pellet hitting the beer can to see the impact. Right, that's not the sort of thing you need to do for accuracy. A demonstration would be, first stage, second stage goes, bang, hit the target, release the trigger, look up. I hope this improves your shooting a little bit. Thanks for watching.